everybody. I'm Isaiah Gear, the host of Homework Hotline, and welcome back to our show. Now, thank you all for tuning into our stream this evening. If you haven't watched our show before, let me run you through how it works real quick. Each episode, we invite a very scholarly panel of tutors to help you with your homework. They will review certain lessons and topics, some of which you may be learning in your classes. And you guys can join at our Twitch at HMG_Twitch and ask questions, give your support, and just tune into our lovely stream in general. So here we go. We're going to get started. We are going to get our homework on, if you will. So we're going to start off with Vincent. I see you have returned back to us. We're going to be teaching math today, are we?
Yep, got an Algebra 2 lesson.
Oh, lucky guess on my part. All right, well, you get started whenever you like, Vincent.
All right, thanks. So, I have a quick lesson on arithmetic sequences. And what it is basically is like a sequence of numbers with a common difference between consecutive terms. So, for example, 2, 4, 6, 8. The first term would be 2, and then you just add 2 to get the next term. So what I did on the Jamboard here is I wrote the formula down of how to find any term. And so that's what we're going to be using today on one of the example problems. So we have the value of the term you want. So a of n equals the first term plus, then in parentheses you do whatever the term position is. So if you're looking for the 20th term, you do 20 minus 1, and then multiply by the common difference. So like in the example, the common difference would be 2. So you multiply by 2. So that's what we're going to be using today. And I have 2 example problems. Both come from actually ACT practice tests. So here's the first one. It reads, the third and the fourth terms of an arithmetic sequence are 13 and 18 respectively. What is the 50th term of the sequence? So what we have to do first is, in order to use our formula, we need the first term and the common difference. So we know the third and the fourth terms are 13 and 18. So the common difference would be 5, because you just add 5 to 13 to get 18. So we know D is 5. And we need the first term now. Well, if the third term is 13, to get to the first term, all we have to do is subtract. So we subtract 5 from 13, we get 8. That's the second term. Subtract 5 again, we get 3. So the first term is 3. And what we can do now is just plug it right into the formula. So we have the value of the 50th term equals the first term plus the term position, which would be 50, minus 1 times the common difference, times 5. Follow PEMDAS, 50 minus 1 is 49, times 5 is 245, plus 3, and the value of the 50th term is 248, which would be A in this case. So that's a pretty simple example, just straight up using the formula. I have one more, also coming from an ACT practice test. Okay, this one says, what is the sum of the first 4 terms of the arithmetic sequence in which the 6th term is 8 and the 10th term is 13? So we need to find the sum of the first 4 terms. We know the 6th term, we know the 10th term. So what I'm going to do here is set up a quick little visual to hopefully make this a little bit more easier to understand. So what I'm writing down right now are term positions. So the first term, second, third, fourth, fifth, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. We really only need to worry about 10 terms in this specific question. So we know, let's start by plugging in whatever we know. We know the 6th term is 8. So we'll write 8 right below it. We know the 10th term is 13. Now what we need to do is we need to find the common difference. And one way we can find it is by finding like the set. We have to find two consecutive terms essentially. So what we can do is see how we can get from 8 to 13, but there needs to be 3 terms in between there. So if we try, we could just guess a check. For example, if we try adding 1 to get from the 6th to the 7th term, get 9, 10, 11. Well, that doesn't work because the 10th term needs to be 12. So we know the common difference is not 1. Just for sake of time, I'm just going to tell you it's 1.25. So if we try 1.25, we add that from 8, we get 9.25, 10.5, and 11.75. And if you were to add 1.25 again to 11.75, you get 13. So we know the common difference is 1.25. Now, we're being asked the sum of the first 4 terms. So we need to find out what the values of the first 4 terms are. So we have the 6th through the 10th terms. So what we can do from here is we can basically subtract the common difference from the 6th term, and that'll get us all the lower terms. So if we subtract 1.25 from 8, we get 6.75, 5.5, 4.25, 3, and 1.75. We have to find the sum of the first 4 terms, which would be these terms here. These are the values of the terms. We add each of them together, and we wind up with 14.5. And that is G. So that's everything I have. 2 ACT problems. You can come across it on tests, obviously on the ACT, but just a quick little lesson I want to go over, but that's all I have. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat. We'll go back to Isaiah.
Thank you, Vincent. It's always great to see you coming back to our show time after time again. So we actually got a bit of a shorter show for today, so we're going to hop to a break. Before we hop to a break, though, this show, it's all about homework, but it's also all about giving shout outs and giving love to you guys out there, and also other things. So real quick, let's start off with one of our audience members, Tristan Kinn's father. He's an HMG News member. He's a graphic designer. Check our Instagram and you'll find a post that he made on Homework Hotline. Go check it out. He's very helpful to our show. Also subscribe to our YouTube at HMG News. You'll find all of our Homework Hotline episodes, as well as a plethora of other HMG News content. So with that said, let's take a break before we come back with Eric Fish and Spanish. So we'll see you after the break. Welcome back to Homework Hotline. I'm your host, Isaiah Gira. Before the break, we went over arithmetic, sequences, math with Vincent. Now we are moving it on to Erica Fish with some Spanish lessons. Another batch of shout outs before we get started on that. A Little Bit of Light Live airs today on YouTube. They had their stream on Tuesday. Be sure to go check them out while they're live, and also watch their video on YouTube today when it releases. Also, a quick shout out to Brianna, Kayleen, Alexis, Nico, Main in the chats. Brianna and Kayleen. Brianna runs the HMG Cooking Show, as well as Kayleen running Raving for Retail. Thank you guys for coming and tuning in, you guys. You guys are awesome. So let's move on to Erica Fish now. Welcome, Erica.
Hey, Isaiah.
Well, you can get started on your lesson whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. So today we're going over some yo stem changers in the predicate form for Spanish. So these are, predicate form is past tense. So this is going to be most helpful to our Spanish 2 and Spanish 3 students. So this is only going to apply to the yo form, so the first person I form. And there's a couple different stem changers for this. It's when you have something that ends in car, gar, or zar. So it's kind of makes sense. So for example, buscar, which is to find something or to search for something, it ends with car. And so what we're going to do is we're going to change the C into a QU. So it's going to be busque. And the thing is, and then we add our actual stem changer in the past tense to it, which would be E with a accent mark over it, which we went over last time. So if you are confused on that, I would recommend checking out the video that we had last time about Homework Hotline when we went over the basic forms in the preterite form. In the guard form, however, we have G, and we just changed that to a GU. So it's a little different from here with the car, but it's a bit easier in my opinion. So let's say we have pagar, which is to pay. We would change that to pague. Again, you just change it to the E with the accent mark after you change the actual gar to GU. And then zar, which is almorzar, we're going to use an example of, which is to eat lunch. That is almorce. So the Z changes to a C. That's a very, very easy one. And what's nice about it is it just rolls off the tongue better with the kind of like almorce rather than like almorze or however you would change it. And so we're going to go over one more for each of these so we can kind of, do it together. So let's say we have sacar, which means to take out. That would become sorry. And let me also switch over to my Spanish keyboard. Sake. Tough technology these days. Jugar, which means to play, as in playing with maybe like baseball or something, not like an instrument. Let's say that would be jugué. I play, or I played. My bad, this is past tense. And then comenzar means to start, to begin something. That would become comencé. And we'll just stress that out. So pretty basic. You're not gonna find a ton of these verbs. I literally looked at a huge list of verbs from Spanish 2, and I could only find like these couple ones. They're not super common, but it's good to know for when you do have a verb like this, because you want to make sure you sound correct. You're using the verbs correctly. So that's really all I had to go over today for changing yo stem changers in the preterite form. I hope this was helpful, and felices vacaciones de primavera, which means have a great spring break. Send it back over to Isaiah. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Erica. That was really nice of you. I can't wait for the lesson where you teach us all of those words on that humongous verb chart. I just can't wait for that day to come. But anyway, we are wrapped up with our show. Thank you, Erica, for wrapping it up for us. But like she said, all of you guys in the audience watching, have a happy spring break. We're almost there. We got one more day of school. So you guys are awesome for tuning in, and you guys have a wonderful time over next week. That's it. That's all we got for our show. So if you guys need any help with your homework, always remember to call the Homework Hotline. I've been Isaiah Gira. Thanks for watching.